lesbian criticism. First, what does the word lesbian mean? And what is criticism? Nowadays, the term lesbian is used to refer to those people who experience attraction to members of the same sex. Another way to define it is a woman whose sexual desire is towards a woman. Criticism, on the other hand, is the expression of disapproval of someone or something based on perceived faults or mistakes. Now, what is lesbian criticism? Lesbian criticism is concerned with issues of personal identity and politics analogous to those analyzed by feminists. Therefore, lesbian critics address issues related to both sexism and heterosexism. In other words, lesbian critics must deal with the psychological, social, economic, and political oppression fostered not only by patriarchal male privilege but by heterosexual privilege as well. Some lesbians are separatists. They dissociate themselves as much as possible from all men, including gay men, and from heterosexual women. They may also dissociate themselves from lesbians who don't share their views.
Now that we know what lesbian criticism is, let's take a look at the number of tasks lesbian literary critics perform. Lesbian literary critics try to decide what constitutes a lesbian literary tradition and what writers and works belong to it. They attempt to determine what might constitute a lesbian poetry that is uniquely lesbian writing. They analyze how the sexual or emotional orientation of lesbian writers has affected their literary expressions, how the intersection of race and sexual or emotional orientation has affected the literary expression of lesbian of color, and how the intersection of class, race, and sexual or emotional orientation has affected the literary expression of lesbians of working class origins. They also analyze the sexual politics of specific texts by examining, for example, how lesbian characters or masculine women are portrayed in literature by and about lesbians. They study canonized heterosexual texts too, in order to learn what attitudes heterosexist interpretation of literature that fail to recognize or appreciate the lesbian dimensions of specific literary works.
Good day everyone, and since lesbian criticism has been discussed, we will now tackle gay criticism. First, let's go with term gay. According to Wikipedia, a term that primarily refers to a homosexual person or the trait of being homosexual. The term was originally used to mean carefree, happy, or bright and showy. The word gay seems to have its origins around the 12th century in England, derived from the Old French word guy, which in turn was probably derived from a Germanic word, though that isn't completely known. The word's original meaning meant something to the effect of joyful, carefree, full of mirth, or bright and showy. At this juncture, let us see what gay criticism in literature is about. Unlike lesbian criticism, gay criticism doesn't tend to focus on efforts to define homosexuality. Sexual relations between men, or even just the sexual desire of one man for another, is the generally accepted criterion of gayness in well-middle-class America today. Nevertheless, not all cultures share this definition. For example, in Mexican and South American cultures, the mere fact of sexual activity with or desire for another male does not indicate that a man is homosexual. The kinds of analysis that tend to engage the attention of gay critics often fall under the heading of gay sensibility. How does being gay influence the way one sees the world, sees oneself and others, creates and responds to art and music, creates and interprets literature, or experiences and expresses emotion? In a heterosexist culture, gay sensibility includes an awareness of being different, at least in certain ways, from the members of the mainstream dominant culture and the complex feelings that result from an implicit, ongoing social oppression.
This time, I will be discussing about gay language. Some gays use this kind of language to communicate with their fellows in the LGBT community. They speak a set of slang lexicon used predominantly among LGBT people. It has been used in various languages, including English and Japanese since the early 1900s, as a means by which members of the LGBT community can identify themselves and speak in code and communicate with brevity and speed to other LGBTs. Here are some examples of gay language commonly used in the Philippines. X-Men, o mga dating lalaki, Rampage, o Rampa, Oprah Winfrey, or OPM, or Oh Promise Me, Pangako. And here are some examples of language commonly used in the United States. Bottom, the receptive sexual partner receives rather than gives. Top, the inserted sexual partner gives rather than receives. Closet queen, gay who hides his homosexuality.
This time, we will discuss queer criticism. The use of the term queer can be seen as an attempt to reappropriate the word from what has been its homophobic usage in order to demonstrate that heterosexists shouldn't be allowed to define gay and lesbian experience. Some lesbians and gay men have adopted the word queer as an inclusive category for referring to a common political or cultural ground shared by gay men, lesbians, bisexuals, and all people who considered themselves, for whatever reasons, non-straight. If we look at it in a theoretical point of view, the terms gay and lesbian imply a more defined category that is homosexuality. In literature, the word queer has a range of meaning such as the following. May refer to any piece of literary criticism that interprets a text from a non-straight perspective. Therefore, any of the examples of gay and lesbian criticisms discussed earlier could be included in a collection of queer essays.
However, if we restrict ourselves to its narrower theoretical meaning, its deconstructive dimension, queer criticism reads text to reveal the problematic quality of their representations of sexual categories. In other words, to show the various ways in which the categories homosexual and heterosexual break down, overlap, or do not adequately represent the dynamic range of human sexuality.
In conclusion, sexuality has been a theme in literature since the origins of literature itself. The function of sexuality in literature is a reflection of how different cultures view sexuality and its role in those cultures. Recurring themes that appear throughout gay and lesbian literature and that constitute part of an evolving literary tradition have been evident. Critics from all three domains have taken an interest in these themes, and the following are some examples. Initiation, coming out to family and friends and at the workplace, dealing with homophobia and with heterosexist discrimination, the psychology of gay self-hatred and overcoming it, dealing with loneliness and alienation, finding love, building a life with a gay or lesbian partner. Lesbian, gay, and queer criticisms also often rely on similar kinds of textual evidences. Take, for instance, subtle textual cues that can create a homoerotic atmosphere even in an otherwise heterosexual text. This, in addition to the more obvious forms of textual cues like homoerotic imagery and erotic encounters between same-sex characters. A few of the most common examples of these subtle cues are as follows. Homosocial bonding, the depiction of strong emotional ties between same-sex characters. Same-sex doubles, a more subtle, somewhat abstract form of gay and lesbian signs consist of same-sex characters who look alike, act alike, or have parallel experiences. Now, let's take a look at Shakespeare's Hamlet. Hamlet and Horatius is probably our favorite romance of all time. Horatio, as we all know, has been utterly and totally loyal to Hamlet for the entire play. And who can even forget the classic line, "Good night, sweet prince." Horatio even ends up being the only person that lives to tell Hamlet's tragic tale. Through that example, we can say that the boundaries among lesbian, gay, and queer criticism remain somewhat fluid. Our purpose in using the kinds of textual evidence just described, as well as one's own self-identified critical orientation, will determine whether the interpretation of a literary work is a lesbian, gay, or queer.